So, look who we have here today. The most stunning, gorgeous Monica Dogra. Wow, it's so nice to see you, Monica.
It's so good to see you. You're half of who I met a decade ago. You're like literally half the man. Well, you're twice the man you were, but half the size.
But listen, all you guys, all my friends who've been in this, you guys are all about, fitness and looking great and all that. Just some of that, seems to be rubbing off. I'm trying. It's a long way to go, but there you go. You're
You look
surrounded.
amazing. You look amazing. I'm super proud of you. Really, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Anyway, for those who are watching, here is a woman who is a embodiment of versatility, singer, songwriter, actor, TV host. She does so many things. It's just endless. She's dubbed as one of the 50 most influential women in the country by Elle magazine. She's got various nominations. I don't know. I mean, solo career in indie music, acted in two.
Okay, okay, okay.
Ah!
Thank you. Thank you. That's very
Monica, superb, yeah, superb. So, here's the question. I mean, you've actually graduated from New York University and musical theater as your major, and you're living in New York. And what made you, come to India?
well. I moved to New York when I was 17 and I studied musical theater at NYU, as you said. And it was a struggle for me. Like, I couldn't afford it. I bartended, I waited tables just to afford school. Then when I graduated, I got an off Broadway show. And then I was recording with two different producers. One who was a Sony signed songwriter, and Andre Betts is his name. And I was kind of getting groomed to like be an Indian pussycat doll, like a pop whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, growing up in America, having an Indian identity was always I never fit in with the other Indians. So then my sister was shopping for her wedding, and she flew me to India to help her shop for her wedding. And before I left, people like Karsh Kale, who I was friends with and I looked up to, he was like, a mentor to me. DJ Rekha, people in the Asian underground, that's what they called it. It was Anoka in the UK. They were all like, go to Bombay, go to Bombay, see how it feels, leave your family. Because growing up, whenever I'd visit India, I'd go to Jammu and I'd be in Ramesh Nagar in Delhi, and I would
Okay.
see nothing else except for my family.
Sure.
So I did that. I came to Bombay and I spent one insane week. I think I met
Okay.
you right at the end. Um, one insane week where I ended up meeting this music video director who then took me to this actress's house, who then introduced me to people like Mohan Kannan.
Yeah.
And I was 22 and hungry, and I drank a lot. I drank a lot. Um, but that was the scene. I met all of these Indian people who I fit in with. For once, I felt like, oh, my Indian identity makes sense because I'm meeting these rebellious, reclusive, weird, tattooed, ABBA, Beatles, Led Zeppelin listening to guitar playing, and you can't say that they're not Indians because they live in India. Whereas
Yeah.
growing up in the West, people who were rebellious, they were seen as not being true to their culture. So I was seen as not being true to my culture in America. And then here, suddenly, meeting people like you made me feel like I made sense. So
So
then
sweet.
I was willing to leave everything for that, and I did. I went back to the States. I quit my job. I broke up with my boyfriend. I scared my parents, and I moved to India with nothing. Nowhere to live, no money, no plan. No plan.
No plan. Yeah, I'm coming to that. So here's something which, very few people know about this, very few people have written about this. But your first band in India was a band called Change of Plan, and that was
Mhm.
with Mohan, me, and Randolph. I mean, not many people know about this, and
Yeah.
when I tell people this, they say, really, you had a band with Monica Dogra, and nobody knows about it. So
And
you wanna
Chinku and Arijit
and
and
Chinku,
Chinku.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like I said, one of those fateful nights I met Mohan. Mohan came into the kitchen. He was playing guitar. I would just spit poetry and improv. I had no idea what I was singing. I'd look at you and I'd sing a song about your glasses and your beard and your smile and the way your skin shines. I would just observe and sing songs about what I saw. And I remember Mohan asked you to come down from Pune. I think it was someone's house. I don't know whose house. And I remember
Nachiket's house. Nachiket's
Nachiket's house.
Nachiket's house. Yeah.
I mean, like this is what we would do. We would just sit in rooms with all of our instruments and our voices, and we would make music all night long while drinking copious amounts of booze. And I remember you were like, "I don't care. I love you. I don't know who you are, but I love you." And I was like, "Dude, let's make music," you know. And that's all I wanted to do. I had nothing to lose because I really had nothing. I had no money. And my family structure is very strange. You know, there was nothing holding me in America, so I was ready just to be here. And Change of Plan was wicked. We had no idea what we were doing. The name came from the fact that we would always be like, Koco, sorry man, change of plan. We're actually going to meet at this place instead. But we played such beautiful shows, and I remember people being so moved by what we did, and it was the start of something, you know.
I wish we had recorded some of that stuff. I think so. We made some pretty nice music. I wish we had recorded some of it. I think a little bit of that seeped in Shire and Funk was some of
Yeah,
it.
Oops, I
So
think was one of the songs that seeped into Shire and Funk. Oops was actually Shire and Funk's biggest hit, like ever. So
wow.
100%. Change of Plan was, for me, why it was before I even knew that India would become my life. But um, Change of Plan was the vehicle through which I even knew that I could be a songwriter. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just following what felt good. Remember we in Pune we went to that farmhouse and we just chilled and played music, and I
Yeah,
have photos.
these impromptu sessions that we kept having, and we were all shacked up in that tiny apartment, a two-bedroom apartment, where we were eight of us, and we were there for some 3 4 days. And that building which didn't even have a lift. I remember Lakshmi Narayan Nagar in Pune, and we were all shacked up there, and we were living like one bunch of hippies. I think.
I am still I still want that, you know.
I,
Now I'm like in this apartment and I'm like I should live in a commune.
yeah,
I shouldn't live alone. Like it's not I'm not meant to live. I don't think creative people are meant to live
live,
with
you
like
know.
one person
Yeah.
or alone. Like we're meant to live in communities. We have to live in communities.
Yeah. And
Anyway, that's
we bounce off so many ideas and so much, in fact, that's one thing, I decided to do these, interviews and stuff. I thought I'll do it, do a 5 minute thing and, just concentrate on this COVID thing and all that. But then when once I started speaking to everyone, I realized that, all my friends have had such rich lives, and, this interaction is giving me so much. Every
yeah.
day I wake up, I'm excited because I know that today I'm going to speak to, Leslie Lewis. Yeah, I'm going to speak to Rahul Ram. Today I'm going to speak to, and there's so much that I'm getting those vibes that, that energy I'm getting. I'm not feeling trapped inside this house. It's just beautiful. It's just
That's why I
beautiful.
said yes today because I needed to feel some of that, Coco. It's been hard, man. Like this COVID thing hit the West I think before it's hit India, and I'll say it because I always say whatever is authentic to me. But my mom has been in the hospital for 10 days with COVID, and it's been so scary. Also, I think because it's such a strange time
Yeah.
for all of us that we have a curiosity. We want to know what the virus is doing, how many people have it, blah 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 blah. And the media, there's so much kachra out there that like you if you read the wrong article and you always think it's going to be someone else, and it's my mom. Like my mom, who is why I sing. I was estranged from my mother for 10 years, 12 to 22. I had very little contact with her. And all I can think is I just want that time back, man. And like I need her to get better. Like I was flipping
Yeah.
out today. She's
She
doing
is
a
going to
lot
get better.
better. She's gonna recover, which is awesome. And I agree with you. I think it's good to wake up and like I was doing this thing, called the living eulogies for a little
Okay.
while. Maybe I should. Oh, you're giving me an idea. But yeah, and I should definitely eulogize to you too. But it came from the fact that, like, as a community of independent, or rather, non-film music making
Sure.
people, um, there are heroes who never really get to hear that they're heroes. People who we benefit from. Like I benefit from the work that you've done. Like I would never have made Shire and Funk if you hadn't have been in the band that you were, like Agni and everything that you'd done. You opened up so many doors for me. And
Sure. And
I
Agni
have never
wasn't
had,
even formed then.
yeah, I
Agni
know.
hadn't even formed.
No,
Yeah.
but
So I
your
think
band before I
Change of
arrived in
Plan
India.
with Agni and Sharon Funk, I think.
There's that, yeah.
Yeah.
But the point, but T2, I remember said he like broke a bottle on his head because he loves your band so much. I don't know. I remember hearing this story because you were in a
That was
band,
the
right?
older. That was the old. That was the older Agni.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. But anyway, the point is that we all come from something, and I stand in a position where I stand because other people had the guts to do work that gave me the opportunity to be who I am. And I think it'd be really nice to establish a culture where we actually, look at the lineage of musicians that we come from and give them respect, while they're alive, like not after they're gone.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
think.
true, true. But Monica, I've known you for what 15 years now, and once you get over that enigma of Monica with all her, that entire personality on stage and that entire, once you get over that, beautiful creature, there's that really simple, warm, loving person that I've known you to be. You're quite a tomboy. You're like one of the guys always. It's no, you're not one of
I
those
know, look at my outfit.
princesses, yeah.
It's like,
But
which men's t-shirt should I wear today?
but
You could probably borrow this shirt.
yeah, sure, I'd love to. I think I'll fit in there now. So here's the thing: you've always been, this thinker, this concept of spoken word. I mean, the first time I heard of that genre by itself was from you. I mean, I never knew about this genre, the spoken word, and to be able to write pages and pages of so much material. And at that age, you were, like you said, you were what, 21, 22, and writing about so much life experience. Where did it come from at such an early age? How did you manage to think so deep and to write those really meaningful lyrics with Shire and Funk? With it's each song had a solid theme. It wasn't just, I love you, you love me, shake your body. It is none of that. I mean, you introduced electronica and spoken word and those beautiful melodies, which people were on the dance floor, they were going crazy. But if every song had meaning, I mean, where did this gorgeous creature turn into such a big thinker, and where did it all come from?
First of all, thank you. It heals me somewhere when you say, "Oh, it's so kind." Sometimes I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I found a journal, my first journal, which I started when I was. It's actually not my first journal. It's my second one, but it's my second one when things got good. And I was 12. I had a troubled childhood. I mean, I guess all of us have our own version of, difficult, whatever, what we've lived. But for me, my childhood was really hard, and I was sad a lot. And I had a deep connection to God, even when I was really little. My mom's father was a pandit. I was always really enchanted by the unseen and like a super dreamer. Like I mean, I would just like, I wouldn't need anything except for to zone out in a room with like a pen and a paper. And like occasionally I'd put on Ani DeFranco or Fiona Apple and even them, the artists who I love. Ani DeFranco is one of the most profound lyricists in the world. Fiona Apple is such an amazing lyricist as well. So I love words. I love poetry. Yeah, I don't know where it just came. It happened, and I've always been, no matter no matter what has happened. Though we got red carpet, Shire and Funk touring the world. Finally, like for me, I finally have a nice place to live. I've lived in some really shitty places. I was used to being like Monica, the hippie with no money, blah, blah, blah. And so I think like the identity of being like a hippie dreamer, poet, weirdo, it like made sense before my success. And then once I started to experience success, it was like suddenly people thought it was inauthentic or something that I put on that was like not real. And me being as sensitive as I am, it really hurt my feelings to be so misunderstood. So it made me withdraw. It made me withdraw from everyone, like everyone, you included,
Yeah.
everyone. I mean, I couldn't share freely anymore because I could just feel, I'm so empathetic. I can feel when people judge me. Why I moved to India is because I felt none of that. Why everything just exploded is because I was accepted by everyone and I was hugged by everyone and invited by everyone. And then as I grew, that started to go away. And I didn't change. I didn't. But everyone else did. And I was like, what's going on? So yeah, I've always been this, man. I don't know. I've always
Yeah, I
been.
guess that's the price you pay once, suddenly everyone wears a different set of glasses, and they see you differently the minute success happens, and, people know about you, and then suddenly that same person's behavior changes. They probably start just getting just nicer and just saying nicer things to you, and you're not used
Not
to
for
that.
me.
Yeah, and you
Not
say,
for me.
what the hell happened to that guy that I knew? I mean, why are you talking to me like that? I get what
No
you.
one got nicer to me. No, 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 no. No one got
Okay.
nicer to me. People became not nice to me. It was the
Oh, okay.
opposite. Yeah, it was the opposite. I was welcomed. I was always welcomed, I think, which is where I was very lucky. I never had to like elbow my way into Bollywood or elbow my way into rooms with powerful people. We were always invited. And maybe that's because I was with you, or maybe it's because there weren't a lot of girls like me, especially at that time. So were you there when we performed at the opening of the theater in town? Strange. We were invited to play like red carpets, this fashion designer. I mean, it was mad. It happened just like that. We didn't even try. I think it was with Mohan and Chinku. I don't think you were in town. But yeah, I was in India for less than a month and I performed like the launch of this massive, like old Art Deco theater in Colaba.
Yeah, yeah, I was
What's it
there. I was
called?
there. That
Something. Anyway, it
the
doesn't matter.
arena or something, that the dome, that hotel on Marine Drive, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about that gig? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was part of the band.
Yeah.
I remember. I
I thought
remember.
you were there. That's what I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah.
For me, like imagine in New York, I was like I was bartending and cleaning toilets, and then suddenly this designer is like giving me a gown, and I'm like singing for all these fancy people above there. I was like, cool, let's keep doing
Yeah, the designer tried to give me a shirt
it.
and asked him how much it cost, and he said 80,000 rupees. I said, "Can I keep it?" I remember that gig.
It
Yeah.
was Shadab Durazi or Shahab Durazi or something like that. I
I,
still
don't-
remember.
I don't remember the name of the designer, and but so fantastic. I mean, those memories are something which we'll always treasure. Moving on to your entry into Bollywood, you decided you want to do everything at large. I mean, everything larger than life. So, right, a movie with Amir Khan, and that guy is known for his being a perfectionist, and that to a lead role. I mean, and you're a French speaking girl with that American accent, and so how did you do that? How did you gel with the Bollywood fraternity and that too working with Amir Khan, such a perfectionist? What was that? What was that like?
I honestly, once Shire and Funk started to play often,
Hmm.
a bunch of people, the people who would come and watch us play were often people of influence,
Yeah.
directors or famous music directors, famous filmmakers,
Sure.
famous designers. It was one of those really rich times, I
Sure.
think, in India. I don't really see that happening anymore, honestly. Um, so I was asked to be in things. Sometimes I was asked to model in things, and Randolph would always kind of discourage me from doing things that would define me outside of music. And I didn't disagree with him most of the time. But when the team, the Dhobigat team, Karen Rao, when her team got in touch with me the first time, it was actually months earlier. Shire and Funk was playing Glastonbury. I was in the UK, and she had seen a photo of me on the cover of Time Out. So the team was really keen on auditioning me, and I said no, which became like the famous headline when I finally
Wow.
started doing press. Is like Monica said no to blah blah. Of course, but anyway, I said no because I wasn't available and I wasn't interested in being in Bollywood. That was my thing, and which is funny because growing up, Bollywood was like everything to me. I danced in a troupe. I've done like dances to all these Bollywoods. I am a dancer, and I brought that energy into Shire and Funk. But when I
Sure.
moved to India, the thing that I would hear that really turned me off was like, Janta loves this, but I don't love it. And I was like, as an artist, I didn't align with the fact that people were so happy to make things for Janta, but not for
Yeah.
themselves. And I think that that's changed. I think it's changed a lot. And someone like Amir, Kiran, I mean, in many ways, they are fire starters. They're just the greatest people in the film industry. So then when I heard that the movie was going to be different, I was told it's like indie, it's weird. So I went and I auditioned. I had no idea Amir was going to be in it. I got
Okay.
offered the role the next day. No, no, no. The next day I was asked to come in and read again. And they said that no one was available to read with me but Amir. So I had to read with him.
Oh,
And I was like, all right. I believed them. And
okay.
mind you, for me, like, I saw Kiamat Se Kiamat Tak, like, so long. I was like, wow, I love Amir. Oh my God. I was so scared. But I had that, like, rock and roll energy to me. So I was like, whatever. I got
Yeah. Heart beating fast, but keeping it
yeah,
cool
yeah, yeah.
extreme.
I'm like, I'm good. It's all good. So I did it, and then I got offered the role the next day. I still had no idea Amir was in it. When I signed and it was done, everything was done. That's when I found out that Amir was in the film. So when I signed up for Dhobigat, it was something small that I thought, I've done a lot of indie films since then, but by virtue of Amir being in Dhobigat, it really like, it mushroomed.
Yeah.
And I was a musical theater major, Coco. So for me, acting, singing, and dancing were the three things I've always wanted to do. And however that manifested was fine by me, you know? So acting is a part of that, you know?
Fantastic. So when you're in this fraternity of Bollywood and stuff like that, there's always people advising you to do stuff which you're maybe comfortable, maybe not comfortable, and how did you ward off these people? Because you've always kept a very strong identity. You're never the girl who would be doing things, running around trees, or there are some really smart Bollywood actresses who are really intelligent women, but they end up doing stuff which is totally not them. But how did you manage to stay away from that? And to say no must be a difficult thing.
The massive pay cut. It's a massive pay cut. You get paid so much more to run around trees and wear no clothes, and you get so much more famous. And I knew that, you know. And there was a phase when I think when Dhobi got released, I Indian women especially, it's like men don't go through the same thing. It's like there's a rubric for who is beautiful. You can have a full and thriving career from being an item girl. You don't have to really do anything except for wear a bra and like gyrate, and you'll tour India and make lakhs and lakhs and lakhs a month for this. That's okay.
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't for me, you know. But then somewhere later on, when it came time for me to like, I wanted to make music videos that would cost me 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. And I was still, I remember when Duelist came out, Dobigad had released, I, had won the GMA award. I had been like nominated, all these things happened. And I was still like living in a house without running water. And, I was like, I was famous, but I had no money. Like I was going to the Filmfare Awards in a rickshaw. And that was tough, man. And why I lived that life is because I didn't do the item songs. Because I didn't, get the boob job or the nose job or the, what date the right guy or whatever the fuck else you're supposed to do. I just didn't. And that was hard because I think everyone, again, it's not like a victim thing. It's just my story. And now that I am where I am, it's all good. But like at the time, it was hard for me. I was like, I'm on this red carpet and I did my hair so beautifully. And then I got in a rickshaw and now I'm sweaty and my hair is all over the place. And then the next day, like a fashion blog is talking about how unkempt I look and my makeup is patchy. And I'm just like, God, you can't win. You can't win. So yeah, again, back to why I'm too sensitive. I'm just too sensitive. Let me calm down.
Coming back, the current situation, even now, even after you getting so much of this commercial success and touring the world with Chai and Funk, and being one of the few bands who actually gone and played at big festivals like Glastonbury and stuff like that. Even till date, even now, recently you just released Secret Sauce, and then Narayana Mastana, and you're still at it. I mean, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I do. I do. Thank you for asking. So Shire and Funk was one of the, again, I think everything, back to the living eulogy thing, we're a part of we're so much more than just, Agni, Shire and Funk, or Monica, Vishal Dadlani. We're a part of an ecosystem. And there was a time, I think right when Change of Plan began, Shire and Funk began, there was like a 6-year period where the ecosystem was flourishing. So there were so many live venues, labels were opening up. It was the beginning of Only Much Louder. It was NH7 Weekender. Sunburn was given birth to Sula Fest. And it was all the beginnings. And because it was the beginning, we relied on community, which is something so beautiful that you lose when it's not the beginning anymore.
Yeah.
We had to support each other because there was no one else who was going to support it. But then what ended up happening is we were all there for each other, you know? So Shire and Funk was like, it was so much more than just the band. It was a culture. And Agni is so much more than a band. It was a culture. And Weekender was so much more than a festival. It was a culture. And I think a lot of those things have dissipated. So for me, it's been really like weird and interesting to take a step away from the band. And basically what happened for me is I was on Duelist album, I was on Gaurav Raina's album, I toured with Anushka Shankar, I toured with Karsh Kale, I was on Karsh's album, I'd sung on with Agni, I'd done so many things for so many people. Ashutosh Patak, like I'd done everything. I felt like I was always the girl. And I would notice too that sometimes people would have setups where it was like 5 female singers, again, like with a band. And me being, of course, like so fiercely, I need to like stand in my own space. I was like, I'm not just going to be one of those girls defined by Randolph or defined by, the fact that by my looks or whatever. It just irritated me. So I had to start writing solo stuff. And I did, but then the ecosystem, that time had passed. So touring my live work has been much different, like much, much different. And I miss, of course, we all miss like the good old days or whatever. Yeah. But I continue to feel like whatever avenues are available to me, I'm going to explore them with everything that I've got. So this space that I've really gotten like feverish about exploring is music videos, because I can dance and sing and curate them, and I'm a storyteller. So 3 weeks ago I released Secret Sauce with Universal Universal Music, and I brought Pratik back. So Pratik is in the music video with me, and it hit 6 million in 2 weeks, 6 million views, but it was supported by the Sterling Reserve Music Project, so that was great. Yeah, and I've done so, this is now my 4th release as a solo artist, but I tour a lot less. I DJ more than I tour, because touring is too expensive.
Yeah, you need to travel with a band, and musicians and logistics just go haywire. I can understand.
Yeah, I really want to try. I really do want to tour again, though. I think I'm getting to a place where I just don't give a shit anymore about anything. I think that's what the quarantine has done. I'm like, why the fuck do we do anything that we don't love?
Sure.
I think I'm done doing the things I don't love.
It just got us all thinking a little more. We're not running those hectic lives and concert and rehearsal and recording and this and that. Somehow it's all sort of slowed down, and there's been a lot of time to really think and sort of reboot our systems. At least that's what's happened with me. So I'm
beautiful.
I know it's a strange time. I never expected to see a time like this, but it's there. So it makes it gives us that time to really reboot again. So from doing all this stuff with Shire and Funk and touring the world and Bollywood acting, you even went on to host TV shows. I mean, shows like The Divorce, where it was all independent music, and it was a mainstream TV show of which, 5 seasons, of which I think you did 4 seasons as the host.
I did, yeah.
As well as, even you composed and worked with Rajasthan groups and medieval pundits. You did your own stuff. So how was that experience dealing with all these indie musicians and making that show? And how was it? We were part of, I think, episode 4 was with Agni, and I remember what a blast we had.
So. Yeah, again, it's back to that ecosystem idea. Duelist was again a really important aspect of the ecosystem. That was the rising subculture of non-Bollywood music, and we were all so in support of one another. And the duelist as a concept was about uncovering the identity of someone who had the guts to do something that had never been done before.
Sure.
And of course, as we know, alcohol brands, they don't know how, they don't know how, they're not allowed to advertise. So they started funding music because it was a great creative way to integrate and also like get the name like in people's minds.
Sure.
And Dewar's as a whiskey was made by a man who like he discovered some strange way to make scotch. You know, eventually we actually went to I went to Scotland and visited where Dewar's as a whiskey came from. It was one of the finale episodes, but yeah, it was one of those concepts that I really believed in. The same way that Dhobigat was a film that told a story, what I believe. The Doerist was very much aligned with how I think and what I believe. And I knew that I would essentially be taken to beautiful places to witness incredible musicians make music over the course of a few days. And I was like, why would I ever say no to that? And also, I am quite naturally, as I'm sure you can see in this interview, I can just talk and talk and talk and talk. Like, and it's so easy for me when I'm inspired, or if I like who I'm speaking to, or if I feel connected, I can just keep going, going, going. And The Duelist was kind of based, at least the first 3 seasons were based around like my curiosities, my natural curiosities in a space when I travel, when I eat, who I meet, and that sort of thing. And the collaborations were incredible. Agni's song was so beautiful. The music that came from the series was so good. It was so good. And sometimes, you know, that phrase maktub, like it was written, it's as if at that time everything was meant to be exactly as it was. And if we spent the time, which I think we should, recalling that period of time, like right now, what's similar, like EDM? I don't know. But at that time, the things that were happening, I remember we were all like, this is magic. Like, what is going? Everything was unfolding. It was growing so beautifully. Like a show that was on a mainstream TV network 3 times a week, highlighting us. Like, us.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was just awesome.
It was awesome. And then there was the Doers stage at Weekender, and you know, we all get on stage at Weekender for the finale, or all of us playing gigs and at each other's gigs. It was a really beautiful time.
So, you know, Monica, being a part of a TV host and you know, for something like this must have been beautiful. But now you're even a judge on a talent hunt, you know, stage, which is the Indian version of The Voice, and being a judge in a musical show where it's your decision that's going to, you know, make or break maybe someone's career. I mean, that must be a big weight on your shoulders.
It's not weight, it's a privilege for sure. When I was asked to be a judge on the show, first of all, just the fact that a show like that was going to exist was really exciting for me. Similar to The Doers in the sense that there was never a show like that before.
Sure.
And where The Doers highlighted musicians who were brave enough to kind of be their own people and make their own sound. The stage aimed to be a show that, you know, found the greatest singers who sang in English in India and lifted them to mainstream television and gave them a 360 record deal where they would be developed and invested in and release music videos. And I mean, that's support that none of us have ever known, right?
Sure.
But you know, it comes with a duality because there isn't a massive English pop industry in India. There isn't. You have to be, like, one of the reasons why I think indie worked and continues to work, but really worked when it worked, is because there was a need for people to say something, like musicians who represented something, not just sounded good, you
Sure.
know? So who are you? Who are you and the music? You know, like
True.
I know who Agni is and Agni's music. Like you're people with, like I know what Koco talks like. I know like how he's gonna joke, what he's gonna drink, like how he's gonna be on stage, and that's something where, you know, whereas in America there might be like your Britney Spears and your Christina Aguilera and everything that's like perfectly packaged, but Bollywood is that here,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So the stage is such an anomaly because it was trying to do something that had never ever been done before, but also without an industry that existed to cater to.
Sure,
And that
sure.
kind of shit excites me. I'm so
Yeah.
into it.
Well,
So
it's a gutsy thing to do as well, to have
it,
shows like that. Yeah.
it is, yeah. And also for me to be sitting next to someone like Ehsan and someone like Vishal, I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
my dad's gonna be so proud of me.
No, but here's the thing. Were there any kind of disagreements in terms of, maybe I think this guy should win, maybe that guy should win, between you, Vishal, and SR? I mean, yeah, everyone has their own this thing. But then again, these guys are quite senior. So
Yeah.
did you have a say in those kind of decisions? And
What do you think?
I think you must have bullied the hell out of those guys.
I, I would just said this to my friend earlier today, that I was like, you have to remember that inside of me are two people. One person who like believes in herself, thinks she has the right to say what she believes and that everyone should listen, thinks that she's fucking badass, and then another person inside of me thinks that I'm nothing and everyone leaves me and I'm a piece of shit. And they both exist in equal measure inside of me all the time. Okay? And he was like, okay, oh God. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to what I see, like first of all, greatest singers I had ever heard, ever on the stage. I was blown away sometimes that like someone from a gaon in this like tiny, don't even know where some of these people were from, were just such phenomenal voices. But often I would be the voice that, see, I think like Vishal, he's a massive, of course, he's Pentagram's frontman, but at the same time, he's massively famous for Bollywood. And I am Sharon Funk's front woman, and I am a solo artist, and I was on the Doers, but I also am quite famous for having acted opposite Amir Khan. This being in India that's so dominated by Bollywood.
Yeah.
But still, I think I'm someone who more than anyone else, I've made fewer compromises at the risk, but I have,
agree totally.
and
I agree
I
totally.
paid a price for it. But and also because I'm super judgy. I'm like judgy of myself more than anybody. So I'm even like when you say host of the Doers, I'm like, ooh, I don't like. I'm not a host. I never VJ'd. I was asked to VJ, and I never did. And I could have made a lot more money if I VJ'd. So for me, it's like I paid the price. So please define me correctly, you know. So anyway, I did fight with them often, and I would come at it from someone who understood from start to finish how to be an artist in this industry without making any compromises. And so I wanted to find singers who weren't just great singers, but who were people who would survive the industry. And that made me different from the other guys often. And I'm right, because the ones who are flourishing are the people that I fought for on the show. And I won't name their names, but they know who they are.
Wow, superb, superb, fantastic. But Monica, I have to mention this about you because I don't know whether too many people know this. You're writing, you're thinking, the intellectual side of you. There are a lot of people who don't know that you have some kind of a spiritual journey as well going on, and you're into meditation and all of that. You want to tell people about that because that's something which people don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the people who follow me on Instagram are starting to catch on because I'm being more transparent about it than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
But a funny thing happens, and it sounds like you're going through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you have kind of lived, when you're young and you're like, I'm going to have a house and I'm going to have a wife and I'll have this band and I'll have made these albums, and we're so fortunate to be people who've become what we dreamt of being.
Sure.
But also what you then experience is that none of the things that you think having will, you think that having these things will complete you, and then you have them and you feel so incomplete.
Sure.
And that's what happened to me. I've done many of the things that I always dreamt I would do, and I have these massive holes inside of me, and they still are there. And then this hate article about me went viral, maybe 5 years ago now it was, or 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember. And it was written by a girl, and it was shared by almost everyone I knew. I was a national trend on Twitter for a week. I was on the front page of the Times for being a joke. I was, and again, as I've said in this interview, I'm super sensitive. So even if one person says something mean about me, it affects me. So imagine 1 million people saying that you're trash. Suddenly I couldn't go out. I couldn't go to gigs. I just stopped. Shire and Funk stopped for a little while at that point too. And I wasn't only hurt by how many people shared the article, I was also really hurt by no one stepping up and defending me also. That equally hurt me, in fact. There were stages of all the things that upset me about it. At that time is when I decided either I was just going to die, because what's the point? For me, life had lost all love. I was done. Or I was going to find something inside of myself that I can hold on to, even when everything is erased. When all my friends disappear, my career is nil, no one's there to stand up for me, there's no one to cry with, there's no one to lean on. I had to find something that that could never be taken away from me. And so I spent 2.5 weeks in silence. I initiated in a Kriya at that time in the same lineage as Paramahansa Yogananda. All these books that I've kept around me but never read, I suddenly could read them, because everything had stopped. So I could just read them, and they were. I was just clarifying and cleansing, and I even started to look really different in that life phase. I was shedding, and now I don't drink anymore. I don't have any vices, but I'm still equally as much of a fairy as I always was. But I found a kind of a radiance inside of me, and I've managed to forgive as well and find compassion for people who I was so angry for so long, and now I'm not, which is great. But I'm also very careful with my energy now. I don't give the way that I used to, and sometimes I miss that part of me that was just so ready to overflow into anyone who came my way. I'm not like that anymore. But yeah, and the more that I dive deep into my meditation practice, I've met mystics, I've met swamis in Rishikesh and Haridwar and Varanasi, and one swami smeared holy ash on my throat and said I'll never get sick here again, and said he had kept a bottle of Ganga Jal in Navi Mumbai, knowing that one day I would come. And so he said, have a spoon of that every day. I used to get chronic strep throat and tonsillitis, because I have a really
Okay.
big tonsil. I haven't gotten strep throat in 3 years since I've been having this Ganga gel.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. And it's also weird because I play like gangster rap when I DJ, and I wear T-shirts with no like as dresses, and I curse, and I'm on the cover of Maxim or FHM, but I'm also with swamis and sadhus, and I'm reading the Lotus Sutras, and it's all real.
It's really creditable, But what happens is, in a phase when you're down and out and you feel all alone, there are two ways to deal with it. One is to self-destruct,
Yeah.
or the other is to self-create. I think you created for yourself, and you didn't self-destruct, which is creditable. I mean, no matter whether people believe in stuff like this and or not, it doesn't matter as long as you can make something work for you, which
Yeah.
keep you on track, and it makes you a better person, and you can live with yourself and deal with the kind of stuff that sometimes unfairly thrown at you. So,
Yeah.
Monica, it's beautiful. We've had a nice long chat, and but I'd love to. We'd all love to listen to a few lines. If you can sing something or recite something, you know, something that's special, something that can probably relate to today's situation that we are in.
Yeah. Um, I thought I would think, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just do whatever. I didn't even think about it. But I remember something I wrote around the time of change of plan. So I'll do that.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll remember all of it. But it was called Metaphor. And it
Okay.
goes, I am a walking metaphor. I am a lover, a girlfriend who takes hit after hit after hit after hit, cries when it's over, rolls over and says, come on, baby, give me some more. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a walking metaphor. Have you found out yet what it is that I stand for? Take me home. In death I'm shown that these bodies just clothes are born. Home, home. Strip me down, naked to my skin, yeah. My blood's not so thin, yeah. You can see my spirit soar, spirit soar. Take me home, take me home, take me home.
Wow! I distinctly remember this song on stage. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man. But it's just with just an only voice also. It sounds great. Yeah. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
We should do something, man. Let's just
Yeah,
like get on a van and travel around India again.
yeah, that would be
Okay.
super. Just all of us just get together and just you know
Yeah,
let's just do something crazy. I'd love to do that.
I
You
would
know,
too. There
let's
must
just
be tour vans. You know those vans that go from Bombay to Goa with like the
yeah,
beds? Let's just get one of those vans.
that would be so much fun. Yeah,
Put a kettle and a whatever and another truck and just go.
yeah. We
I'm
should.
down.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, come on.
I'm
I'm
into
gonna,
it.
I'm gonna follow up on
Okay,
that.
great. I'm so
and
into it. Yeah.
and and thank you once again for doing this, and a big, big, big hug. I
I
love
will
you, love.
always, always hold you in a really sweet place in my heart. Always, always.
Thanks, Monica, and
Yeah.
I will see you soon.
Yeah.